Hey, so with the midterms just a few days away and a lot of important races on the ballot, I wanted to talk about one that is important to me because it's where I live and it's important nationally. It's the race for New York governor, which is pretty much a shoo-in at this point. 97% chance Kathy Hochul wins re-election against the 3% chance that Zeldin has. But it is disturbing how close a Republican has come to winning the governorship of New York State, which is considered like a Democratic stronghold. As you can see, Hochul is regularly polling anywhere from like plus 5 points to plus 12 or even plus 13. But Zeldin is expected to get over 40% of the vote, possibly closer to like 45%, which is disturbingly close for a Republican. So I wanted to go over the reasons why this is happening, why he's gotten so close, because it's a bigger picture thing, because a lot of Republicans are riding the same wave of popularity. A lot of Republicans are really closing the gap in the final few days of this race. As we see, the two most important Senate races. Warnock was ahead until just recently. I'm not sure what happened with Warnock, why his polling just collapsed. But Walker is ahead by 0.1 points. It's gonna be so close. It's gonna be close. And unfortunately, polling might favor Republicans, as we've seen in 2016 and in 2020. The polling said Trump would win, of course, and Trump would lose, of course, and of course he won. And that just broke everyone's brains. Everyone was mad at the pollsters for saying that he would lose when he wasn't going to lose. And then in 2020, pollsters said Biden was going to win. Everyone was nervous because they said, "Oh, what if they're wrong again?" And he did win, but by a lot less than the pollsters said he would. So, and Fetterman. Look how close this race has gotten. It's a nail biter now. Oh, look at this. Oh, these were the good old days. Fetterman plus 8, plus 10 even. What happened with Oz here? Was this the story about him killing puppies? Yeah, Oz is a sick guy. But plus 6, plus 5, and then plus 2, plus 1, then plus 4. Plus 0.4. Yeah, this is close. So a lot of things are happening to cause this uptick in Republican support. Biggest one is the economy. Yes, we're in a recession right now. I mean, it's pretty much official at this point. And this here, the Michigan governor's race, this has gotten pretty close. Here, Whitmer was up 11 points, 12 points, and then that lead has shrunk to less than 5 points. Of course, it seems like Whitmer is still going to win, but, you never know. Yeah, I don't think they can overcome like a 4-point lead or a 4-point deficit, but it's hard to tell. Nobody trusts pollsters anymore, right? Yeah, Whitmer was unpopular, but she was popular enough for a while. But she's gonna win, and it's gonna make the righties so mad. They were so mad at her that they tried to freaking kidnap her. Remember that? Yeah, seems like these Republicans are catching up in a lot of races. Looks like the Democrat is safe. Again, it's November, technically November 7th now. So Yeah, I think with a lot of the early voting already in the elections mostly decided. Ooh, and in this one, ooh, this is brutal. Democrat was ahead for a while. I wanted to go over the race for New York governor because it's a microcosm of like a lot of the issues that are propelling Republicans ahead. Again, the big one is the economy. It's the economy, stupid. We're in a recession right now, and we've been dealing with high rates of inflation since 2021, and of course, the Republicans blame that all on the Democrats because Democrats are in charge. So, first of all, the thing with inflation is that we spent $5 trillion on COVID stimulus in 2020, and a bit in 2021. That's a lot of money being spent by the government. A lot of money being printed by the government. And it takes a while for inflation to set in, especially like during like an unprecedented time of economic like sluggishness due to COVID. Like the economy was like really slowed down, right? And our nation is very big, so it takes a while for our economy to really change its shape. So it's a lot of the spending that has caused inflation, along with of course there's the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, which triggered a response. Essentially the whole rest of the world boycotted the Russian oil and gas, which increased gas prices all over the world and in America. You know, that was a whole thing with gas prices. Everyone was blaming Biden for the high gas prices, but like, what is he supposed to do? Keep buying Russian oil? I mean, a lot of people, some in the Republican Party probably would say, yes, keep buying from Russia. But, and increasing gas prices means increasing prices for everything else, too. Because, you know, our economy is so dependent on gas for transportation and energy that increasing gas prices means increasing the prices of everything else. And of course, there is the concerns with price gouging, that companies are using the cover of inflation to raise prices. And there's some disagreements about this. But it does seem like corporations are taking advantage of this opportunity to use inflation as an excuse for raising prices. And then there is the oil companies who want to, you know, make up for all the lost revenue in 2020 and 21, mostly 2020. Yeah, it was actually a pretty good thing that people stopped consuming oil and gas, right? But now it wasn't good for the oil companies, that's for sure. But so now they want to make up for all those lost profits, right? Yeah, and ExxonMobil and Chevron reported their profits had more than tripled in the second quarter of 22 compared to the same quarter in 2021. Yeah. And global oil and gas producers will see their profits double in 22. Gasoline prices began falling in 22 in June. Gas prices declined faster than retail prices consumers pay. Oh yeah, so yeah, even though the cost of a barrel of oil was falling, the cost of gasoline was not falling at the same rate. So yeah, that debunks the whole supply and demand thing. Like, oh, it's determined by the simple supply and demand economics 101. No, it's determined by the corporations and what they want the price to be. Yeah, all these corporations are making out like bandits. They are the ones profiting from all this. Even as we're going into a recession, the corporate profits are at a record high. So this economic situation, this inflation, means that consumers, regular like Americans, have less spending power, right? They're less well off overall, which means that they become more desperate. And now with this recession, we're not even fully in the recession, right? It's looming in front of us, and it's about to happen. And we're sort of already in it, but not really. Yeah, Democrats are wondering, oh, why couldn't the economy just wait until after the midterms to crash? But it's possible it hasn't even fully crashed yet. But these economic situations, combined with the uncertainty with the future, plus all the social issues caused by the pandemic, the loneliness, the social isolation and alienation, has contributed to a rise in crime. And that rise in crime is also being used by the right wing to justify, to attack the Democrats and justify their taking power. So the rise in crime is being used as like a big talking point, and that's a big thing that Lee Zeldin is talking about on this right-wing propagandist website. Hey, that's a nice doggo, but there's just ads and clickbait articles everywhere, and they're auto-playing their own videos in the corner here. So yeah, the Daily News, which links to the New York Post for most of these cited sources, which is just another right-wing propaganda site. It starts off with a maniac shoving an innocent onto subway tracks, a sucker punch to an older person's head, a gang shootout in broad daylight. That sounds dope, actually. I mean, it's bad, but still cool. Such outrage is dramatized. The disturbing violent crime statistics our state has witnessed. Year to date, our overall crime in New York City is up 30% from last year. And crime rate in the subway system so far this year is 41% higher than at this point in 2021. So this is, oh, whoa. Was that just this website? This is a shitty website. So this is technically true. Crime rate is up almost 30% relative to this time last year. But again, we have to put things in perspective, right? Crime was pretty low. Hold on, where was this graph up here? Shows that, yeah, crime was at an all-time low around 2015. And then like 2017, 2018 was at its lowest. And then this is homicides by year. So homicides did start to rise even before 2020. And that's probably because of some economic circumstances as well. Of course, crime rises and falls for a myriad of different reasons. It's hard exactly to tell. But yeah, homicides is about at the same level as it was right after the last economic crash. And it was even worse before then. Even in the aughts, the early 2000s, it was worse. And of course in the 90s. In the 90s, it was like 5 times as worse. Yeah, that was the huge crime wave, the actual crime wave that happened. So yes, crime is up. In this graph, it shows homicides were going up. In this graph down here, it actually says felony assaults were dropping before the pandemic. But then as the pandemic went on, homicides rose. So here at the beginning of the pandemic, in the first few months when everyone was in lockdown, felony assaults were lower because less people were interacting, everyone was stuck inside. And then as people started to get out there again, this is June and then July, during the summer, all these people had all this pent-up energy, right? And just released it. And hey, this is actually like close to the number here, July of 2019. So maybe this is just a thing that happens during the summer. And yeah, this is at similar levels here in July. And then it just took another dip around the Omicron spike. Remember that? That was a thing. And now it's at an all-time high. An all-time high ever since like the mid-2000s was when it was this high. So you gotta remember to put things in perspective, right? Locally, it is going up. Actually, recently, homicides has been going down, and that's because the NYPD, this is in NYC, the NYPD have been doing a good job confiscating guns and reducing the amount of gun violence in the city. And this is why police officers should be pro-gun control, right? Because, I mean, guns are used to commit crimes, right? There are policies that can be enacted that makes it easier for guns to be removed from the hands of criminals, right? There are some cities where like guns are illegal, but there are still guns everywhere. But the NYPD, maybe they're just doing a good job at it. They've reduced the amount of guns on the streets, which really reduces the amount of crime. We see here in these crime stats, while crime is up a lot, murder is the only crime stat that is actually decreased year to date. So far, there have been like almost 14% less murders this year so far than there were during the whole year in 2021. Now, of course, we still have like 2 months to catch up. 2022 still has room to grow, right? But murder has gone down while all the other crimes, including rape, felony assaults, are up. Now, of course, the biggest crime increases you see here are grand larceny, auto, burglary, and robbery. So grand larceny is when you steal something that's worth more than $1,000. Grand larceny auto is when you steal cars. And burglary is breaking and entering with the intent to commit a crime. And robbery is, robbing someone like on the street, like at gunpoint, or just like grabbing their purse and running with it. So while felony assault and rape are up, they don't account for most of the increase in crime. So it seems like these increases in crime are driven by like desperate economic circumstances, right? Like a lot of people are poorer, they're uncertain about the future, the value of the money in their wallets and their bank accounts has decreased. And a lot of people were already in desperate economic circumstances before the pandemic hit, right? Oh, and down here we have a historical perspective. Oh wow, murder was so high in 1990, and now it's actually fallen. Percent change 21 versus 01 versus 98. Oh wow, minus 78% from 1990 to 2021. Wow. Why don't we go just from 98? Rape is down 39.8%. Robbery minus 64.5%. Felony assault 20.8%. Burglary minus 72.8%. Grand larceny minus 20.6%. Grand larceny auto. I wonder why that is. Were cars easier to steal back in the day? Yeah, you'd think, yeah, I guess cars were easier to break into, their car alarms weren't around, or they were less sensitive, maybe. And burglary, that's gone down a lot, probably because more security systems, more like electronic security systems, right? So yeah, important to have this perspective here. And this is, yeah, official stats. So, oh yeah, murder. This is why police officers should be pro gun control, because yeah, guns are used to commit crimes, and you know, the more guns are out there, the more afraid cops are. That's why cops are so jumpy in America, right? Because like they see a gun around every corner, in every pocket, in every jacket, inside of every coat, inside of every glove compartment. There's a pistol, or they have to treat it like that. That's why they're so trigger happy, because they're afraid of getting shot, right? They're afraid, like, oh, anyone can have a gun, so I gotta be extra careful. Like, oh, this guy looks like he might be pulling out a gun. I don't know if he is, but there's a good chance that he's got a gun, so I gotta shoot before he pulls out, before he draws. Because I'd rather shoot than risk getting shot, right? So yeah, gun control is good for cops, and it's good for everyone else. I mean, what is the Republican argument for owning guns? It's that, oh, you need a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. Well, how do you know the guy with the gun is bad? It's when he already starts shooting people with the gun, right? You can stop that from happening by just like removing the gun from his hands in the first place, right? And then the good guy with the gun could be confused for the bad guy with the gun by the actual police, right? And also, like, if you're just carrying around a pistol all day, it actually like increases the chances that you will accidentally shoot someone, or it'll increase the chances that you'll get shot yourself. Because if you're being robbed at gunpoint, The guy with the gun doesn't want to shoot you, right? He just wants your shit. He just wants your money, your property. He doesn't want to shoot you because then the police are really going to go after him, because then he's a murder or attempted murder suspect, right? The police are going to go after someone who shoots someone in an attempted robbery much harder than someone who just steals a purse, steals some money, or a wedding ring, right? So even if someone points a gun at you, they don't really want to shoot you. They just want to intimidate you, right? What's going to make them shoot you? If you resist, if you pull out a gun, if you try to pull out a gun, well, they already got a gun pointed at you. That's the best way of getting shot. So, yeah. Kathy Hochul did mention this, that Lee Zeldin says he's against crime. He's gonna take care of crime in the city, but he is also pro-gun. He wants to make it easier to conceal carry. Wants to loosen up all gun laws in the city and in the state, really. So yeah, it's kind of contradictory. Whereas, like, yeah, the only decrease in crime has been, in part at least, due to successful gun control policies, right? Yeah, a lot of gun control policies are like, the criminals can get around gun restrictions on the black market, right? But yeah, here in New York, it's pretty hard to get a gun, right? Especially illegally. Cops are really cracking down on that. So, what is the Republican solution to crime? What is Lee Zeldin's solution to crime? It is just increasing funding for cops, right? Just getting more cops on the street, and just increasing police funding. They say it's Democrats' fault that crime has increased because Democrats defunded the police, right? That's the line, right? So, as I said, the rate of crime has increased, as we've seen. Even though murder is down, crime in total is up almost 30%. But the perception of crime is a lot different than the reality. So here we have digital and print media mentions of violent crime, and we see it surge right after Mayor Adams was elected. Eric Adams is a former cop who used, fear about crime, especially violent crime, as the main thing that he was running on. He said that, he's the cop, he's the former cop, he's the most pro-cop, pro-police candidate. So he's going to, let the police do what they're meant to do. And hey, the NYPD has been kind of killing it recently, in a good way. They've been doing their job. Right. That's what they're killing. They are. Yeah, so Adams launches his campaign right here. Like at the beginning of 21. or was it the end of 2020? Then there was a huge spike, another huge spike, a spike on top of that spike, and then okay, so this is when Adams actually became the mayor, and then wow, you see the huge spike that happened then. Yeah, so the media always does this. It always like talks about crime. It like overhypes crime that's being committed because, you know, it's good for ratings, right? It's good for driving engagement and keeping eyes glued to the television screen, seeing like, oh, what's the next crime that's gonna drop? The next big crime that's gonna drop. What's the next? Is it safe to go out now? They want to know how safe it is. Cause like, yeah, these high-profile events right here are heavily covered by the media. They're heavily politicized. Even like Lee Zeldin, like, just did an event based on an assault that happens right on the Hudson River, right next to it, rather. Yeah, so a tendency to focus on the most lurid or sensational crimes gives people a distorted sense of what's actually going on in their communities. Yeah, the media wants it to make it out as if like, oh, it's just like in the movies, right? Yeah, it's like exciting crime stuff that's happening. Not like it really overhypes things to like make people scared, because you know, that excites people. Even though they're scared, they're excited. They wanna see more. It's sort of like a morbid curiosity kind of thing, right? Where it's like, ooh, I'm scared. Ooh, I'm disgusted, but I'm kind of curious also. And yeah, some of the crimes do get pretty creative. Like that guy, the crazy guy on the subway who shot like 20 people but didn't kill any of them. That was weird on the subway. Yeah. The average risk of encountering these crimes is pretty low, because there's been a number of particularly obscene incidents in New York City. Yeah, someone was shoved in front of a train and killed. Of course, this happens, you know. It's happened before the pandemic. I remember there are plenty of stories about it happening. You know, it happens from time to time. It says in January this happened, which means, like, it happened once. Of course, there's always going to be crazy people, right? Sometimes people get pushed on the tracks and they don't get killed, right? They're like, sometimes the train isn't coming and they're like, dude, what the fuck? Why did you just push me? Yeah, there's crazy people in the city, of course. That's unfortunate. Like, that's just part of the risk of living here. You gotta keep your eyes open. You can't be looking at your phone. You gotta have situational awareness. Like, oh, is there a crazy guy on the subway's platform with me? Does he look like he's gonna push me? Oh, here it is. In April, a man fired a handgun at least 33 times on a packed subway car traveling from Brooklyn to Manhattan. It seemed like he was aiming for legs rather than aiming to kill, which means he didn't really want to kill people. Maybe he was just looking to cause some havoc, cause some destruction. And 639 shooting incidents in the city in the first 6 months of 2022, nearly doubling the same period in 2019. Yeah, so crime still has not returned to pre-pandemic levels, but at least murders are down from last year, remember. Not from 2019, from last year. So, yeah. here we see that covering of violent crime rose like almost 4 times, almost 400%. Funnily enough, mentions of crime were lowest when Adams was inaugurated. I remember Adams was inaugurated exactly on January 1st, 2022. Even like right after like all right after the ball dropped. Right? He was in Times Square like at 12:30 a.m. January 1st, being like, yeah, it's my time. I guess it was a nice show to put on. But still, it's funny how like it was at its lowest point, like, oh, Adams is in office now, it's everything's okay now. Don't worry guys, the cop is in charge now. He's got this. But then no. The coverage spiked, even though yeah, crime is only up 30% or so, and that's including like robberies, larceny, burglaries. Most of the crime that's the big stories that are covered in the media are like the violent crimes, the felony assaults, which are only up 14%, and then murder and rapes are up like 11%, but murders are down again. So yeah, it's the media. Funnily enough, it's the media perception of crime that, at least in part, propelled Adams into office. And then, once it became clear that he was not the solution, only 29% of New Yorkers rated Adams favorably in June, down from 2/3 from when he was elected. Ooh, that's rough. Yeah, and so he is adding more officers to the force, increasing police funding, which is not actually decreasing the amount of crime. That's the thing with crime, right? It's the police are reactive response to crime, as in like you react to crime once it already happens, whereas like what's really needed is a proactive solution to crime, which means like you stop crime before it's actually committed. You disincentivize crime, right? In a way, police are a disincentive, but like that's because they actually like try to stop you or try to hold you accountable once you've actually committed a crime. It doesn't mean that you're any less desperate, right? It doesn't mean you want to steal anything. You want to steal things any less. And so adding more officers means adding more officers into communities of color and low-income neighborhoods. Which, to be fair, yeah, that's where most of the crime is happening. But also over-policing communities of color. Not a good look, especially for a black mayor. It's like you're supposed to be on the side of black people, but you're just giving them more police to have to deal with. And he's touted more arrests for low-level infractions like fare evasion, which accounts for nearly 80% of police enforcement in the subway system. Yeah. I guess it's good that police are stationed in the subway, because, like, there are crimes that happen on the subway, but like most of the police in subway stations are just hanging out, waiting to bust someone who jumps a turnstile. Right? That's why you gotta go under the turnstile. That's what I do. It's a much less visible way of getting through the turnstile. Most people go over the turnstile. So That's what the cops are watching out for, right? So you gotta go under their guard. You gotta, you know, you gotta outflank them. You gotta, you know, come at them from an angle they're not expecting, right? And of course, there's security. Oh, got a mosquito. How are there mosquitoes in November? How does that make sense? Oh yeah, that's another thing. It's like really hot. It's like 70 something degrees right now in the city, which is not normal. I haven't seen mosquitoes around since the summertime, but now they're back in November. Yeah, it's fucking global warming, dude. It means that the autumn and spring, late autumn and early spring are easier to enjoy, but it means that the summers are going to be brutal. Anyway, yeah. You do not hear this from me about the turnstile jumping, okay? There are also, like, you know, security cameras at a lot of turnstiles. So going under it is less visible way, you know. You're kind of like, you know, just squeezing into a little ball. It's kind of like you're hiding yourself. I'm kind of a big guy. I'm like 5'11", and I can just barely squeeze through, kind of awkwardly, right? Anyway, you do not hear this from me, okay? I did not say this. I was not here. I did not say this. I'm not here. So yeah. Violence is a potent political issue, and people are highly susceptible to what politicians and the media say about crime, even though it may not be reflective of all crime or an actual crime in a particular area is. Yeah, it's all about like media perception, right? Nobody looks at the data. Nobody looks at like, oh, you know, crime rates are up. I gotta worry about my stuff being stolen, but I don't have to worry as much about being assaulted. Definitely don't have to worry about being murdered. That's not how people form their perception of current events, unfortunately. They hear something on the news about something horrible happening, and then they're afraid, oh, well, that is that going to happen to me? So yeah, it's a generational thing where, like, you know, crime is at a historic low, but it's up from where it has been for the past few years, and so a lot of younger people or people who are new to the city are feeling like there's a lot more crime than there used to be. Ooh. In 2018, there was fewer than one murder per day in the city. Oh, the good old days. Back when a whole day could go by, a whole 24 hours can go by without a single murder happening in the city. Homicides were down to 3 per 100,000 people, down from 20 in 1985. Assaults per 1,000 people dropped from 357 from 700. And then into 2020, things changed. Yeah. So I think that's all I have to say about the crime issue, right? I think I've gone over things. Yeah, check this out. Three-quarters of New Yorkers said crime was a very serious issue in 2020 in February, which is the highest number since these polls started in 1999, when the murder rate per capita was 50% higher back here, where people said, yeah, crime is kind of an issue, but like not really. Or fewer people said it was a very serious problem. Now in 2022, honestly, like, less people are touching grass, right? Because of the pandemic, everyone... It's not just that, like, the virus is out there. It's more like, people have been in pandemic mode, more or less, for the past 2 years, and so we've gotten accustomed to just, like, staying inside and just, like, consuming media. And so, like, our perceptions of things are formed more and more by the media that we consume than by our actual real life experiences, right? Anyways, that's all I have to say about the crime issue. Oh, right, the whole cashless bail thing. Okay, so there is an issue with cashless bail. It's that, yeah, it's sort of a catch and release thing where, like, if someone commits a crime, they can just get released back on the street. I do agree that, like, the bail system needs to be reformed, because if you're being held in jail and you don't have the money to pay the bail, which a lot of people don't have that much money to spend, then you're essentially going to be held in jail for weeks or months, possibly like many months, waiting for your trial, just for the crime of being poor, basically. And then a bunch of, like, cash bail services popped up with, like, predatory interest rates. It's like, yeah, if you need to be bailed out, just give us a call. Use your one phone call, right, to call us, and we'll bail you out. But you gotta pay us back with interest. So, yeah, that is an issue that needed to be fixed. But I think maybe Democrats went too far in the other direction, where, like, they're just nobody's being held in jail, or hardly anyone is being held in jail, even if they maybe should be, if they're too dangerous to be out in public. And they say Hochul will not confront district attorneys who release violent criminals onto the streets. Again, this is a right-wing publication, so it's probably editorialized, but if violent criminals are being released onto the streets, then yeah, that's bad. You know, there's gotta be a middle ground here, right, between bail reform and keeping dangerous people off the streets, right? There's gotta be a way to tell, like, oh, this person has a high likelihood of committing a crime again. Whether he's got, like, mental issues or personality issues, or whatever. There's gotta be a way to tell, like, oh, this person should be kept in jail. Maybe there's, like, no second chances, right? You get released, but if you commit a crime while you're out on bail, then you get kept in jail, at least for a while. Okay, so this is pretty misleading. Right here. Crime isn't the only reason New York needs a change. 59% of New York City residents think their family would be better off leaving the state. Now, I don't think that this is the case. 59% of New York City residents. This is probably... "59% of respondents strongly or somewhat agreed with this statement. My family would have a better future if we left New York City permanently." Yeah, it says city, not state. Yeah, the poll asked if they wanted to leave New York City. Ooh, did I catch him on that lie? 41% somewhat or strongly disagreed. 12 percentage point jump for voters who were asked the same question a year ago. Okay, so yeah, there is a difference. But they said there, the poll asked, do you want to leave New York City? But here, oh, they have to load all the ads. Damn. Here, 59% of New York City residents think their family would be better off leaving the state. That implies they want to leave New York State? Yeah, this is a weird way of wording it. And this is misleading as well. In 2020, people leaving the New York City area took $34 billion in taxable income with them. That is, they're leaving the city, not the state. So I actually have here, where is it? Fiscal year tax collections. 2020 to 2021 fiscal year, $80.4 billion was collected. We don't have the fiscal year numbers for 22 yet, because they're still working on that. But 2019 to 2020, $80.7 billion was collected. That's a drop of only $300 million. So it's very misleading, right, to say that $34 billion left, because they say it left New York City, but it seems like those who left New York City simply moved upstate. I mean, I assume some of them moved to another state, but yeah, it seems like there isn't much of a drop in revenue. There is some, of course, but check this out. 2018 to 2019, $73.6 billion, which is a lot less. So a change from 80.7 to 80.4 really isn't a big deal. And then 76 billion for the previous year. Before that, 71.2 billion, which is 71.6, and then 66.9 billion. So it's going up, and it's continuing to go up. It hasn't from 2020 to 21. It went down just a little bit, but as you saw, like, oh, do we not have it here? Let's see, as we saw, this is 66.9, 68.1, 71.6, 71.2, so it did go down here as well. 71.2. It's going to fluctuate, of course. 76, and then 73. Yeah, see, it went down here too. So, yeah, it fluctuates year by year, but the general trend is it's going up. So, yeah. So, then they criticize Hochul, the current governor, for, quote, going on a spending spree. And the 2023 state operating funds budget is increasing by 12%, which, I mean, depending on what they're spending it on, it could be fine. I don't know what they mean by it, with billions in federal COVID dollars available. Then to serve 52 million people, Texas and Florida combined have budgets just 6% more than New York spends for 20 million people. Yeah, well, you know why that is? Is because New York is a better state than Texas and Florida. It's because we treat our people better, because we have a higher standard of living. That's why. Yes, this is not the own you think it is daily news. Sorry. And And then they complain about taxes. Incredibly, the Cuomo-Hochul administration boosted the top tax rate to 10.9%. Aw, those poor millionaires having to pay 10.9% taxes on the money they make above 25 million and up. So, am I gonna have to explain how tax brackets work? So, if you're making less than $8,500 a year, you get taxed 4% on that. And then if you make more than that, you get taxed 4% on the 8,500 plus 4.5% for the money you make in between 8,500 and 11,700. And then you pay 4.5% on the $3,200 here, and then you pay 5.25% on these $3,200, and you can see those numbers are factored into the tax owed, right? Yeah, that's how tax brackets work. So yeah, go ahead, tax them into oblivion. 10.9%, make it 15%, 20%, 50%. Take it all. I mean, if you're making 25 million and up, you're just running up the score, right? You're just dunking on the poors with any income you get above 25 million. You're just dabbing on them, right? You should pay a higher tax rate. Honestly, like, I'm not a policy wonk, but maybe it should be higher than 10.9%. High-earning New Yorkers targeted by Hochul are precisely the people who can easily move elsewhere. 9 states have no income taxes, with more moving in that direction. Yeah, shithole states like Texas and Florida, you mean, have no income tax? Yeah, it's easy to say, oh, we're so great we don't have an income tax when, you know, your power grid fails, whenever it gets a little too chilly out. So there is a point here where there's like people are moving out of the city, like the wealthier people are moving out of the city and maybe out of the state even because of the high taxes. But you know, New York is the best state, and New York City is the best city in the world still. So we can keep rich people here by simply on the virtue of just being so amazing. And of course, these are state taxes, so this affects all those living up in the north, in the upstate countryside, and all the other cities. So we got plenty of rich people here. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. Yeah, they're gonna bitch and moan about, oh, we only made like $40 million this year after taxes instead of 50 or 60 million. But hey, that's a price you gotta pay for living in a decent state. So there is like a white flight phenomenon happening. First, there's a COVID flight, right, where like the rich, the wealthier, like the middle and upper middle class people are leaving the city to escape COVID and the poverty and the crime that comes along with it. And now people are wanting to move out because crime is continuing to go up. But a lot of those people are moving into upstate New York, or like the suburbs surrounding New York City. So it's not really decreasing like the total state revenue of taxes. So yeah, of course Zeldin wants to reduce taxes and reduce spending. And then Hochul is accused of being corrupt. Oh, there goes my webcam. Yep, I'm almost done, don't worry. Yeah. They say Hochul got a slush fund of more than $900 million for distribution throughout the state. So a slush fund is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It means like, I don't know, transparency might be a little bit lower. You can spend it on things, but like, a lot of the spending still has to be like signed off on by the state Congress. And they say Hochul's administration has awarded donors to her campaign with millions in no-bid state contracts. I mean, yeah, that's bad, but like, that's politics, baby. Sorry. Literally every politician does this. And, you know, hey, that's capitalism, right? If you support Democrats, then you're more likely to succeed, right? Because, well, really, if it's you support the winning candidate, you're gonna succeed. But yeah, that's just how you play the game, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, that is corrupt, but like, whatever. Every politician is corrupt. And then Hochul obtained $600 million in state funding for a new Buffalo Bills stadium. Her husband is the senior vice president at Delaware North, which has operated the Bills stadium for the Bills stadium concessions for 30 years. So yeah, that's bad. That's also corrupt. And also, I don't like all that money being spent on new sports stadiums. It's like, come on. Come on. I guess, like, sports is important to a lot of people, right? A lot of people, those normies do love their brand new, shiny sports stadiums, right? But $600 million, that's a lot of money, right? So the Bills stadium concessions. How much money is made from concessions? I guess like a good amount of money, but like, oh well, that's just like a neat little thing. Hochul is getting. Hochul named State Senator Brian Benjamin as lieutenant governor, and he was soon thereafter indicted on charges of bribery and wire fraud, forcing his resignation. Yeah, that's a bad look. And then the aide appointed to oversee this Cuomo-Hochul project was convicted of criminal bid rigging. Yep, that's also not a good look, sweetie. So yeah, I'm no fan of the Democrats. I'm not gonna defend everything they do. But like, does this mean like Lee Zeldin is gonna be any better? I don't think so. And I love this. If the new stadium and the Buffalo Billion add up to 1.6 billion, state taxpayers could have sent checks for about 5,800 to every person in Buffalo instead. I love that. Yeah, we could have done universal basic income instead of buying a new stadium, and they don't even say what the Buffalo Billion is spent on. Actually, they do. I clicked on this link, and takes us to this page. I love how the Daily News links to the New York Post, another right-wing propaganda piece, as a source. So part of this was spent, $50 million of this was spent for a competition to attract and grow companies in life sciences, health and technology, and medical device sectors on Long Island. I mean, yeah, that sounds good. I love science and technology and medical health, medical devices. And then a $10 million grant to Northwell Health Network's Feinstein Institutes for Medical Research for 26 new state-of-the-art laboratories in man has said, I love laboratories. I love science. I want more of that. And these two expenditures have targeted the Long Island home base of Zeldin, an outgoing four-term U.S. representative. You mean the guy who's running for governor against her? So yeah, Kathy Hochul's play corruption. Yeah, this is right-wing news, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's pay to play, but like, whatever. Still better than a Republican. So Zeldin and the Republicans are saying, oh, she's spending this money to buy votes, which is like, that's literally what politicians are meant to do, is like get people to vote for them, right? That's literally what they're supposed to do. But no, when Democrats do it, it's bad. That's literally what tax cuts are. Republicans say, oh, vote for me and I'll cut your taxes, right? I'll give you more money. But when Democrats fund scientific and technological research and development in red districts or purple districts, then that's buying votes, sure. And of course, there's gonna be some corruption, but like, what are you gonna do about that? Are Republicans going to be less corrupt? I don't think so. So, Zeldin will investigate Cuomo decisions to move COVID patients back into nursing homes, resulting in the avoidable demise of old New Yorkers. Yeah, that was kind of a bad move if you didn't want to kill those old people, but hey, at least you don't have to pay those old guys' medical bills anymore. I mean, what are nursing homes but waiting rooms for the afterlife? All we did was send them to the Grim Reaper just a few years earlier than they would have otherwise. Now we don't have to pay to keep them alive for an extra 2 months, just so they can talk to their grandkids one more time. And so, deteriorating public education is the other issue. Adding state and local aid together, New York spends a stunning $34,000 annually per public school student, about double the national average. You'd think we'd have the best schooled youngsters anywhere. But no, the state comptroller tells us that nearly half of recent high school graduates were not college ready, and of those who recently entered college, 38% dropped out after 6 months. So yeah, this is not good. Yeah, New York public schools are not great, but honestly, public schools all across America are not great, right? And this figure, spending $34,000 annually per student, being double the national average, that's probably not really the own you think it is there, because a lot of states have really just abysmal public school spending, right? A lot of states just barely pay their teachers a living wage. It's not even a living wage, because a lot of teachers have to work other jobs just to make ends meet, and then they have to pay for school supplies themselves, because the school doesn't have enough funding to actually even buy the necessary supplies they need. So at least our school teachers are paid well, which is a good thing in and of itself, just to ensure that these teachers like are able to like live a decent life, and the schools have like all the necessary supplies. And then I looked this up. 38% dropped out after 6 months. That is pretty bad. But 38% is higher than a lot of other states, or some other states, but not as much. It's not that much higher than those, a lot of other states. So this is sort of a national issue where, like, public schools just suck, and it's not a funding issue, right? You're not gonna fix public schools just by throwing money at them. You gotta, like, just, like, the education system is so broken. We can go into this more later, but, like, you know. Just the way, like, we try to get kids to learn is just not efficient. Kids hate going to school, they hate learning, they hate being in school, they hate, like, the social environment in school. School just makes kids depressed, and like if kids are sad, then they're not going to learn well at all, right? Yeah, kids don't like doing math problems all day, and really our school system has not been improved upon since, like, the 1950s, where more focus was put on, like, math and science rather than, like, history and literature and arts and crafts and stuff that actually, like, gets students interested in stuff, and, like, creative stuff, and, like, expanding their minds, and, like, creativity, because we wanted to beat the Soviets in the space race, right? We wanted to compete for, like, industrial capacity. So yeah, Zeldin, he says, will expand school choice, including charters for parents and students, which is not a solution. It's not going to solve public schools. Also, alarming to us is toxic critical race theory instruction in certain school districts, as well as completely age-inappropriate discussions on sexual issues. Zeldin will involve, not exclude, parents in their children's education. So yeah, do we really have to go over this again? This is just beating a dead horse at this point. It's like, yeah, are there some critical race theory like instructions on that can be interpreted poorly? Yeah, but it's still important to do. It's still important to, like, learn the history of a race in this country, and it's like, oh, if that offends you, if white people are offended by suggesting that their ancestors did bad things, and, like, or implying that, like, they're the oppressor, oh well. We're not saying that you're a bad person because you're white. We're saying, like, oh, white people as a whole have been on the top. They've benefited from white supremacy, and all we're asking you to do is acknowledge the white supremacy, the white supremacy that you have benefited from as a group. And then in age-inappropriate discussions of sexual issues, this could mean like either sex ed. They think sex ed is scary, which, it shouldn't be. Sexual education is necessary. Like, kids are gonna fuck. You're not gonna stop them from fucking. Abstinence-only education does not work. Does not decrease teen pregnancy rates or STD transmission. So, yeah. We need sexual education, or they could mean education on queer issues, education on, like, being gay or trans or non-binary, which is not sexual in and of itself, but it's interpreted as like a sexual kind of identity, right? Where no, it's more about like, you know, how you express your gender identity. It's not necessarily about sex. Anyway, I don't really want to go over this that much because it's beating a dead horse. And then expanding school choice, including charters for parents and students. Does not fix the education issue. Right? First of all, not everyone can afford to go to a public school, right? Not every person who's going to a public school can like afford to like send their kids to like a charter school that's like much farther away than public school. And like tuition at private schools or even charter schools are like way too high. Even if you like subsidize sending kids to private school, not everyone can afford it. And like, what are you going to do with the actual public schools, right? If you increase funding for like, if you subsidize private schools, does that mean you're decreasing funding for public schools? What are you going to do to fix the public schools? What about all the kids that you're going to leave behind in these failing public schools? Do you have any plans to fix their situation? No. By like encouraging more well-off people to send their kids to private schools and just letting public schools fail, you're kind of setting up this two-tiered system where like you can either afford education or you can't. You're either like going to become like the managerial class, or you're going to be stuck as like an uneducated, poor working class person who's like unable to rise above their conditions, they're unable to they're unable to like even realize the circumstances that they're in. They can't develop any class consciousness because they don't know anything about the world around them. So like, instead of being angry at the systems that's actually keeping them oppressed, they'll descend into like these reactionary ideologies where like they'll blame certain minority groups for their problems instead, right? It takes away from them the chance at the American dream. The American dream is like everyone has got the same chance to succeed and make it big, and even if you're poor. But like, if you can't even have proper public schools, then like a lot of people are not going to have that chance, right? You're not going to be able to like rise above their position. So yeah. Anyway, I think that about covers it, and I'm really tired. In conclusion, vote Democrat, and yeah, pay attention to the news, keep up on current events, and just remember, Democrats are terrible. Yeah, Democrats suck, but you know who sucks even worse? Republicans. Yeah, my camera is, yeah. Yeah, my camera's tired too. We gotta go. Yeah. Democrats suck, but not as much as Republicans do. Democrats are incompetent, but at least they're like decent people, right? Republicans are competent at being evil. That's the thing, right? Anyway, yeah. That's the lesson. Thank you, and good night, and go out and vote on November 8th. I'll see you there.